Thank you for joining Money Simplified, your guide to money and mutual funds, presented by Franklin Templeton Mutual Fund. We appreciate your participation. At PersonalFN, we are committed to helping investors achieve their financial goals and objectives. Our core proposition is built around unbiased research and financial planning. We wish to thank Franklin Templeton Mutual Fund for partnering with us in this investor education and awareness initiative. So welcome to the fifth session of Money Simplified, your guide to money and mutual funds. We are glad to have you with us for the fifth session on identifying your financial goals. Alright, so now let's get started. As you may be aware, life expectancy of individuals has increased, which brings with it rise in medical and living costs during old age. Therefore, it is imperative to make provisions for expenses wisely. All of us want to maintain our standard of living during old age as well, but to do so, we need to actually start thinking and planning for a retirement right from the beginning of our career when we are young. This session aims to help you understand how you can identify and establish your financial goals. So first, let's understand what do we mean by goals. Goals are something you want to achieve by putting in effort. So like in your school days, you may have kept a goal of scoring high grades, getting into the best college, pursuing a bright career by giving your very best. So goal is an end result that can be observed or measured and is expected to be achieved within a set time frame. Therefore, you need to plan your goals well in advance. You see, your goals need to be SMART, where S stands for specific. Your goal should be as specific and as clear as possible. M stands for measurable. Your goal should be measurable and quantifiable so that you know when you can achieve it. A stands for attainable. Your goal should be attainable based on current facts and the situation and not based on assumptions or conditions. R stands for realistic. You should choose a goal that is realistic and which is not a distant fantasy. And last, T stands for time bound. You should have a clear time frame in mind to achieve each of your goals planned. Now that you have understood what we mean by goals, let us now learn about financial goals. Your financial goals are your personal goals with financial cost attached to them. And you see, they can be related to you, your family, and the money you earn. You can have various financial goals at various stages of life. It can be during the accumulation phase, transition phase, or even the vesting phase. You need to identify each of your financial goals and prioritize them. Achieving financial goals may not be an easy task, and hence you may not be able to achieve all financial goals together. So you need to understand the significance of each goal and prioritize them appropriately. You need to provide and save for each of your financial goals. And as each of your financial goals will have a financial cost attached to it, you will have to provide for and commit your savings towards achieving each of them from time to time. And mind you, you should not confuse financial goals with financial wish. Many of the goals on the list may be wishes or mere fantasies, like winning ₹1 crore in a game show or buying a premium or a luxury car in the next 1 year. One needs to prioritize financial goals wisely. You have to consider your needs while listing and ensure the significance of each of your financial goals. And to do this, you should evidently understand your financial needs and obligations. Let us understand more on this with a simple and a popular theory, which is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a popular theory in psychology proposed by Abraham Maslow in 1943, which you may have already heard of and read about in school. This theory describes the stages of movement in human need and motivation. Starting with the basic physiological needs like air, food and water, then safety and protection, moving towards belongingness and love, which once satisfied motivates you towards esteem and then self-actualization needs like developing personal growth. In a similar way, you ought to understand your financial needs and accordingly prioritize them based on your necessities. So what is the process of setting your financial goals? Number 1. Identify your goals. Based on your standard of living and your family, you need to identify your financial commitments and goals and write down each of them. Then the next is prioritize your goals. Once you have listed your financial goals, you should sequence them in an order of importance, from most important to the least important. The third is understand the financial cost associated with each goal. You can roughly but rationally calculate the financial cost against each of your goals. This will help you understand if your identified goal is within or beyond your reach. The fourth is setting a timeline for each goal. You can put a target date against achieving your goals. Some may be short term, some medium, or some long term. This will accordingly help you plan the money you will need over various time frames in order to achieve your goals. Consider how much you can save each month. Here you need to determine how much money you can save each month to meet your goals. In case your goals are falling short of sufficient saving, then you may reconsider the least important goals. You see, it is important to refrain from unnecessary spending, which can enable you to save more and thus achieve or move closer to achieving your financial goals. Last, finalize your financial goals. Once you have considered each of your goals and the resources to meet them, you can finalize your financial goals. So what is the care to be taken while setting your financial goals? You need to ask a question: is your goal important? As we mentioned earlier, you should know how important is the goal which you have set. A less important goal, such as going on a tour to Europe over the next 1 year or buying a premium watch, should not be a priority if you have a relatively more important one, such as buying a house to live in or providing for children's higher education. Then the next important question you need to ask: is it a goal or a wish? You see, winning a lottery or rupees 1 crore from a game show can be a wish, but not your financial goal. Likewise, you may wish to own a bungalow in a posh location, but you may not be able to attain it unless it is realistic, taking into account your present finances and assessing the scope for improvement in your financial situation. Then you need to consider the money you need to accomplish your goal. You need to consider the future value of your goal. That is, if one of your long-term goals is to send your child abroad after 15 years for higher education, which costs rupees 20 lakh at present, you need to take into account inflation and accordingly calculate the money which you will need after 15 years for this goal. Then you need to ask yourself, do you have the adequate resources to finance your goals on time? You see, you need to consider the options and resources you can use to create a corpus to achieve your goals. You need to keep a rational expectation for growth in your income or returns from your investments. You cannot assume 20% appreciation in your salary every year or a 30% return from equity investments each year. So you also need to see, are you misjudging your timelines? Once you know your goals, you set a timeline for each goal. But you need to be flexible with your timelines when it comes to a few of your less important ones or even important goals. Like, you can always postpone your foreign vacation by 5 years, or if needed, your retirement age from 50 years to 55 years. By establishing your financial goals, you can have something to work towards which can help keep you focused when it comes to your money. While financial goals may at times sound similar for different people, it may easily differ when we factor in the time and cost to each goal to be achieved. Based on your age and life stage, you can classify and set your goals as short-term, medium-term, and long-term to have a clear picture of what and when you want to achieve. Here we can see few examples of financial goals set for someone who is young and has just started his career. Short-term goals, these are goals less than 5 years. Pay off credit card liability. Very often, the younger generation tends to easily get into a credit card debt trap due to excessive spending habits and repaying just the minimum amount due. So if you have mounted credit card debt, repaying the same should be your priority. Start saving and investing. To achieve your financial goals, you need to be disciplined in your savings and investment habits. You should try and save a portion of your income every month and invest regularly to let it grow over time. Buy adequate life and medical insurance cover. As a priority, you need to secure yourself and your family against financial risk. Then the next is create a contingency fund for emergencies. To take care of any unforeseen event that may arise unexpectedly, you should set aside savings amounting to 6 to 12 months of your expenses. Provide for expenses towards your marriage. If you're planning to get married, do not forget that you will have to bear additional expenses as well. If you're already married, provide for your child's admission. If you have a child who is yet to go to school, you need to budget for getting admission in a decent school. Then there are medium-term goals from 5 years to 15 years. Buying a house. If that's on your mind and intend to buy one after 5 years, you should set it as a medium-term goal. Buying a car. Again, you need to shortlist your options wisely and set it as a medium-term goal. Then, foreign vacation. We all want time for leisure travel and why to see international destinations. But plan for it well by setting it as a medium-term goal, which could be 5 to 10 years down the line. And if needed, be flexible and ready to postpone this goal if any other goal set by you requires priority. Then there are long-term goals more than 15 years. Providing quality higher education to children. With the cost of education increasing today, just imagine the education cost after 15 years. Yet you will always want your child to be well educated and thus will have to provide for accordingly. Getting your son or daughter married. You may be planning a lavish wedding ceremony for your son's or daughter's marriage, but be realistic, do not overstretch. Planning for retirement. Your retirement is the most important goal among all, which you will have to take care by yourself. Planning well in advance may be helpful for you to maintain your standard of living even when you stop earning. Considering healthcare during your old age. During your old age, you may have a major part of your monthly expenses going towards medical expenses, and recognizing the rising medication cost, you should make provisions wisely and should not ignore them from the list of financial goals. Once you set your financial goals over various time frames, you need to periodically evaluate your progress towards achieving your goals. There can be conditions that may cause a change in your financial goals are: number 1, marriage. If you happen to set your financial goals before marriage, you may have to revisit them after your marriage. There might be a few important goals which you may have not considered before. Then you need to consider an event like divorce. An event like divorce can lead a bigger change in one's life personally as well as financially. Birth of one or more children. If you have a newborn child, congrats, but you may also have now to include some financial goals and provide for expenses related to your newborn child. Death of a spouse, God forbid, but death of a spouse can hinder one's financial goals. Disability or illness of self, parents, children, spouse can lead to a significant change in a financial commitment. Loss of employment of self or spouse can impact your source of income and hence demands a change in your financial goals. Likewise, a change in job, moving from one job to another, may have an impact on your financial commitment and lifestyle as well. Similarly, change in location, moving from one location to another, can also lead to a change in your lifestyle. So with change in circumstances and needs, you will have to revisit the earlier goals and finalize them again. We are hopeful that this session has given you an insight in identifying and prioritizing your financial goals. Remember, it is you who would best understand your needs and decide your financial commitments. So to end our today's learning session, we now invite you to test your learning by taking up this simple quiz and win exciting prizes. Thank you for participating. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.